obligatory, it must be performed without delay. And this is the strongest opinion according to Hanafi madhab, that what we term it in Arabic as it should be performed على الفور. يعني whenever you have you fulfill all the criterion of it, because you have some preconditional states, to have the Hajj and obligatory. Hajj is not obligatory on all of us, just those who feel or match the conditions that has been, I think they are going to be mentioned now shortly. He gave the opinion of the others, that it may be delayed, but as I said, the strongest opinion that it should be performed right away, and this is what we call in Arabic ala al-fawr. And for this has been accepted by all scholars that it's once per life, the whole life. Prayer, you have 5 per day, zakah once per year, and fasting once per year, whereas Hajj once per the whole age, the whole time. This is to be performed only one time, in this regard. What I may explain, those who said al al-fawr, it should be done right away whenever you feel the criterion, and the one who said you may delay it, they have the full acceptance and agreement among them, that if you performed it after, let's say, after 10 years, of being eligible or obligated to do Hajj, this is going to be considered as ada. You are performing it in its time. This is not qada. All of us, we know that in prayer, if we have the sunrise, that's mean that my prayer of Fajr is qada, not ada, make up. It's not the actual time that has been designated to pray Fajr. When you miss few days in Ramadan, again this is qada. Whereas here, even people who said should be done right away, if you did not do it right away, you did it 10 years later, this considered as ada. You have done it in its time, not outside the time. And all of them also agreed that the one who was eligible for only one year, and then he passed away, he is sinful. You see, one idea support, one point support the idea of being right away at once, to be done whenever you are ready. What's this idea? That even those who said you may delay it, if you are eligible for only 1 year, and then for one reason or another the person pass away, he's going to be sinful, because he missed the time of the Hajj. And whenever you have 10 years, of eligibility, and you did it on the year number 10, then according to all scholars, this is going to be ada, and not as a form of making up. Who must perform Hajj? We call in Arabic shurut, or you may call it as a condition to fulfill, to be met, by any individual, to be considered as has the Hajj obligatory on him. First, to be Muslim. Secondly, to be sane, because all of those, we call it taklif in Arabic, or the deeds that you are going to practice. The one who doesn't have an intellect, he is not eligible to do them, or to perform them. And here, if I want to go a little bit further deep, you have what we call taklif and wada'. Taklif, all those way of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not an obligatory on anyone who doesn't have the complete intellection, like the complete intellect, like the child, like the seen, and like the sleeping person, and you name it, whereas you have other things, he will be responsible for them. If a crazy person, break the window or break the glass, we are going to pay from his money, will charge him. You see, يعني here he is not completely free of the responsibility. Again, the child, if he has money, that child, we are going again to find, يعني make him pay, you know, when he breaks the glass, you know, or tear off your clothes or whatever. That's in this regard. You see, يعني here they have some responsibility, but they don't have any responsibility for those obligations, you know, or actions that is recommended from the ordinary Muslim. Healthy, that's mean here, because as we may know, in Hajj you should have good health, you know, to perform, need some strength, you know, to perform some aspects of the Hajj, you know. That's why he put some more explanation, not blind or paralyzed, movements not reliant on a wheelchair or the help of the other person. Okay, and here anyone has anything we may block his activities, you know, to perform all pillars. And I don't know if you have been given prayer and fasting and whatever, you know, any deed in Islam, we may divide it to pillars, compulsories, and tradition or sunnah, highly recommended, you know. We are not going now to go deeply in them, you know, but here we should have the minimal ability to perform the pillars. Even if someone who is incapable of stoning, let's say, this doesn't mean he shouldn't go to Hajj. He should go to Hajj because he has the ability to perform all the pillars or the obligations, you know, of the Hajj. You see this point? Yani here, I don't put it as absolute for everything. No, this is only for the obligations, you know. Whenever he is lacking of doing any of the obligations, the Hajj, he is not entitled or shouldn't go by himself, even though we have some controversy. Should he pay money to make someone else go on his behalf? This is the opinion of most of the scholars, even though this is controversial a little bit. Some, they said, no, he doesn't have to do so. So he gave us an example about the blindness, the one who is paralyzed and the one who needs wheelchair or you name it. Then ability, which has been derived from the word Arabic, the Arabic word istita'a, because it's taken from the verse in the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Hajj an obligation on all of you, on anyone who has the ability, or liman istata'a ilayhi sabila in Arabic, or istita'a. This is here clarified by 5 items: transportation, plane tickets, visas, to reach Mecca in the ordinary way. Don't ask a person in Syria to go walking to Mecca, you know, because nowadays it's not ordinary way, you know, to go walking. Okay, even if he has the full ability to walk, you know, we don't ask him to go walking. You know, you should reach Mecca in the ordinary way. Whenever you have an extraordinary or whatever, or the price of the ticket is going to be 5 times or 6 times, you are not obliged to make Hajj. You don't fit the conditions, you know. If you volunteer and you go, this is your choice, you may go. But we, as a rule, we cannot call it as an obligation on you. You got this point? Yani here the availability of the transportation in the ordinary way should be the case. Can we accept questions? Yes?
Shaykh Samir,
Alaykum assalam.
What about if a lady has children and there's nobody to look after them? She doesn't feel happy about leaving them with the grandparents or with the uncle or aunt. Is it still obligatory on her to leave her with her parents and then go?
And here the point come, you know, not all of our assumption works. Okay, and here if this people, they are going to physically abuse them, and she will return back with a broken bone in one person, you know, and the other one has large laceration. Yes, I understand this, but just she doesn't feel. I don't think any mother, you know, she feel peaceful, you know, to leave her children for a long time, you know, and by this no woman is going to perform Hajj. No, here we should be a little bit reasonable. And this has been termed in Islam as necessity. Okay, when she has any other need, if this woman work, or if this woman has something which is highly needed from her, is she going to leave her children with the grandparents or not? Here comes the question. Just I don't like this. I don't. No. This is not acceptable. Okay, when you have a real, reasonable reason behind it, yes, I fully understand it, and this is me. You may call it as necessity, but just because she loves them a lot, you know, this doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, in this regard.
Sheikh, Hajj Badal, when somebody wants you to do Hajj for them, if you haven't done your own Hajj, can you do somebody else's?
Yes, according to Hanafi, since you teach Hanafi here, will be makruh tahrimi, but will be accepted, you know, and feel the obligatory. In another word, if someone asks me to perform Hajj in his behalf and I haven't done mine, you know, and I went, I am sort of sinful person because I haven't done mine, you know, but this is going to be complete and perfect, you know, for the other side. Cost of travel, and this is the other expenses that you have, you know, to spend as a money. Again, here, when we say hotels, food, and transport, this is not a way of going as a tour, you know, and I should, since I got used to go to Europe or US, you know, and I'm going to have the finest food, you know, and the best hotels, you know. Here is not the reasonable one, you know, and this is perhaps related to the ordinary life of the person. Okay, some of us who has luxurious life, perhaps they cannot perform Hajj, you know, if they don't have something not exactly same, you know, but close to their ordinary living, you know, the other one, you know. So here I see this point that this differs from one person to another, and we shouldn't exaggerate it a lot, you know. We should be reasonable, you know, in judging this point. Again, the expenditure for family whilst on Hajj, for sure, you are not going to leave your family lost, you know, in your absence, you know. You should have enough money, enough support, and someone to take care of the children, and you name it, you know, as we said before. Safe passage, life not at risk. If we want to be more precise about it, you know, even when I came to this place, you know, I'm not certain that my life is safe, you know, because there is a possibility, perhaps 1 in 1,000, you know, to have a car accident, you know, and so here we go by what we call in Arabic غَلَبَةِ الظَّنِّ, most probably or most possibly, okay? So here to give someone guarantee, you don't go to Hajj unless you are certainly, you know, return back. No one has this ability. This is work according to your day-to-day work, okay? When you go to work, sometimes while it's snowing, you know, and you have a lot of car accident, yet you go. But I'm sure if you feel that there's, let's say, 60% possibility that you may have car accident, you are not going to go outside your door, you know. So when you go, that's mean you have high possibility, let's say, or if we want to use numbers for it, above 50% that you are going to be safe. Here we have the same thing, you know, to give full guarantee. We cannot give full guarantee for anyone. Anyone who wants to practice Hajj, he should go by the numbers, by the possibilities. That's why every year we should have, during Hajj, some people, they die, you know, perhaps because of health problem, or they are too old, or sometimes by an accidental, matter, which, yeah, and you cannot help. This is even, and I hate to give this comparison, even when you have a sport match, and you have a lot of crowds, you may have some people, die by it, and I don't imagine any of those who are fan, of this, they'll say it's haram to go to this match, Mahram, with the absence of a mahram, Hajj is not obligatory. We would rather say, according to Hanafi, it is haram, for women to perform Hajj if she doesn't have a mahram with her. Okay, this is the last condition, is only for women. This is not for man. This is only for women. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yes.
Is there any blame on the lady if the mahram does not take her?
Is there any blame on the lady?
No blame. Anyone who has one of these conditions, let's say, which is not met, and he did not perform Hajj, is not blamed. And it's anyone who, let's say, took risk or go walking to Mecca or whatever, and he performed Hajj, this means the obligation has been dropped from him, He is not obliged to go. And you got this point? Firstly, he was not obliged to go, but when he took his risk, or this was his choice to go, so then, and again, the woman in the same pattern, even though she is going to be sinful, if we went without mahram, but if she performed Hajj, that means the farad, the obligation has been dropped on her. Even if she has, after it, let's say 20 years of availability of mahram and all other conditions, she is not obliged to go again. You see this point? Here we have some people, they may take risk or they may have certain initiation from their side, and by this is going to drop. Even if you have a poor person, or for one chance or another he became in Mecca and he performed Hajj, if he eventually became rich, after 1 year or more, he is not obliged to repeat his Hajj. The only exception for this in our time, the boy, or the girl. When you have the minor people, perform Hajj, this, if he or she became an adult, she or he should repeat his Hajj, in this regard. Any other person, and also the non-Muslim. If a non-Muslim, even though I cannot imagine, exactly, to perform Hajj being non-Muslim, but if an assumption he did it, and he became Muslim, he should repeat it. And these are the two exceptions that I may imagine, in our time, that even though they perform Hajj, they should repeat it. Any other person, did not fit any of these criteria, and he performed Hajj by one way or another, he is not entitled or not obliged to repeat his Hajj. Okay. Then we speak about the 3 types of Hajj. Before going to the 3 types, here the expectation, even though in Hanafi Mazhab Umrah, it's not an obligation, it is a sunnah, it's the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ. Here we should have the recognition between when you say Hajj and when you say Umrah and Mazhab Hanafi, they are not equal, okay? But here the other problem that you have, you cannot enter Mecca from outside. You have, just imagine it like circles, surrounding Mecca, the circle of the Haram and the circle of what we call mawaqit, the area that you shouldn't pass through when you go to Mecca without making ihram. Ihram means either to make Umrah or to make Hajj, okay? That's why we have the 3 different forms of passing that zone, and to go to Mecca. We have these 3 different forms. Either I'm going to perform Ihram in the state of Umrah, finishing the Umrah, and then I'm going to perform Hajj inside Mecca. You see, I'll give in time only, and give the priority to my Umrah, I'm going to pass the zone with the state of Umrah to Ihram, okay? And then I'm going to perform Hajj. And this is, I'm sorry, I start by it. This is number 2, Tamattu. We call it Tamattu. Or I'm going to perform Hajj. I'm going to pass the zone with the intention of Hajj. And whenever I finish Hajj, I may make Umrah. Okay? The third pattern of it, I'm going to make combination of it. I'm going to pass the zone with Ihram of Umrah and Hajj together. I think it's very simple. Perhaps for those who firstly heard it, may be a little bit difficult, but it's not that difficult when you think about it. Yani, we are prohibited of passing this large zone. Anyone who lives outside it is prohibited of passing it without being in Ihram state. Okay, what Ihram state? Either Hajj or Umrah. You take it by this simple way, you know. You should have Ihram state either by Hajj or by Umrah. And here, when you multiply the forms, you know, together, you have the 3 possibility. Either to go by Ihram state of Umrah, and when you finish your Umrah from Mecca, you are going to start your Hajj, or when you pass this zone with Hajj and you perform all deeds of Hajj, and whenever you finish, you may have Umrah, since it's Sunnah, or you are going to combine them together and pass the zone with Hajj and Umrah. And this is by itself, I would like to highlight here, Ihram. What we mean by Ihram here, not what many people think about it. Many people, they think that Ihram is when you take away the clothes and you have those 2 sheets, you know, to have one upper one and one down. This has nothing to do with Ihram, what we are speaking about now. What we are speaking about now is the form of your intention. And when you say labbaik Allahumma labbaik, we see, yani here, what we are doing, if you are asked, where are you going? What you are doing? I am here, I came, I want to pass this zone to perform Hajj. Okay? If you know your intention, you know what you are doing, this is what we mean by Ihram. And this is, yani if we want, I may put it in another form, the Ihram has 3 different categories. One category is obligatory. What is it? Is to have this niyyah. Okay, this is obligatory. Then you have something compulsory on the males, especially, and some of them on the females also, like to get away of these suit clothes, you know, to refrain perfume and many other aspects of not to have haircut or to take away your fingernails or whatever. And the third one is Sunnah, and our tradition, and this is like to pray Sunnat al-Ihram or whatever. You see, here when you speak about Ihram, Ihram may cover any of these 3. Now, what we are speaking about, we are speaking about the obligatory. The most important one, not to pass through this zone without having this intention. I'm going to perform Umrah, I'm going to perform Hajj, I'm going to combine them together. These are the 3 forms. Yes?
Can I ask a question? The thing is, if you're in Makkah Sharif itself,
yes,
you leave, you go to Masjid Aisha, put on the Ihram, and make intention to do Hajj the Maktam, or to combine the Hajj. Is it possible?
You are Meccan, or eventually now you are in Mecca?
You already were in
you
Mecca.
live in Mecca for a long time?
10 days, probably saying.
10 days?
Yeah.
And now we want to make a combination of Hajj and Umrah?
Yeah. Is it possible?
No, no. By this you should you only make Hajj.
Okay.
Yes.
So Hajj is Maktam.
Other is this point? These are the 3 forms that we have of passing this zone, and this is applicable for all of us, you know, because all of us, we live beyond this the largest circle here, you know, and we shouldn't pass it, you know, without having ihram. Yes.
Does one type of Hajj have more reward than the other?
Yes. according to Hanafi, the most one, the reward is will be in the first one, يعني as it has been ordered in your text. The first one is the most with reward, then the second one, then the third one. This is by this order they are in Hanafi, the preference. Yes.
What if you decide to go to Medina first? So obviously when you're in the plane, you pass the Miqat zone. Everyone else is in Ihram, but you're not going to Mecca. You're going to Medina first.
Okay, yani this is, I may broaden your question. Whenever you have anything to be done in this large circle, and not in this the small one, because as you may know, Jeddah, it is included, in this large circle. You may consider it like this, okay? So here, whenever you have anything, you want to visit your parents, you want to get salary because you work in a certain area or whatever, whenever you don't aim to go inside the small circle, you don't have to have ihram, okay? Yeah, this is, you may look at it as protection for the smaller circle, Whenever you are not going to the smaller circle, you don't have to make ihram. You may enter it without ihram, then you go outside. If you change your mind here, okay, there's no, let's say, no car available or no airplane available to Medina, and you change your mind, you may make ihram from your place, or you have the all time to make it till you reach the smaller circle. But don't be deceptive, you say, no, I just want to go to this city, and then you change your mind. It should be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best. No. Okay. Other questions? Fine. So these are the three forms, and their preference as mentioned here. So here, he explained them, perhaps we shouldn't go by them. And then it shows us how the male person, the female, they are not asked to do this. This perform is only for males. The above picture for female, that she should uncover her face for sure. But I criticize this because here, as this is a common mistake, they think that during Ihram, I should uncover my right shoulder. This is completely wrong. Okay? The uncoverage of the right shoulder only takes place while you are making tawaf. Tawaf, which is followed by sa'i, not any tawaf. Okay? So here, it's completely wrong. And if you perform prayer by this pattern, this is going to be makruh tahrimi according to Hanafi, because you uncovered your shoulder during prayer. Okay? That's why they said we make tawaf with uncoverage of the shoulder, but right when you finish your tawaf, before making the 2 rak'ahs of tawaf, you cover your shoulder. Okay? We observe there in old days, I don't know nowadays, but in old days, you observe some people, even they have some burned skin, here, because very hot sun, and it has been exposed all the time. This has nothing to do with ihram, okay? This is, I look at it as wrong idea about ihram. And unfortunately, even in the picture, it's shown in the same way, This is not the way of performing ihram. This is maybe done if you want to start your tawaf, which is going to be followed by sa'i. Even if you have a tawaf which is not followed by sa'i, you are not going to do this. Okay? So it's only sunnah, only a tradition of the Prophet ﷺ to be done only when you have tawaf followed by sa'i, and this is only take place while you are performing your tawaf. Okay? If you want to comment, on this picture, because for me it doesn't look that good, in this video.
If the prayer enters during the tawaf, cover up?
Yes, because you interrupted your tawaf. Since you interrupted your tawaf, you are going to cover your shoulder. Yes.
Shaykh Samir, just a slight question. This Ihram, basically, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, people used to dress like this. And now we have these kind of clothes.
Yes.
But this was a normal dress.
No.
Common.
No. It was common, but was not the normal dress. If you want to go by history, you know, the pioneer of sewing the clothes, who is? If has the clothes sewed, you know, this way, you know, is a prophet. Sayyidina Idris. Sayyidina Idris, as mentioned in the hadith, is the first one, you know, to sew or to have this pattern, you know, and this is hundreds of years before the Prophet ﷺ. And in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, even though in my imagination, they may get dressed like this, you know, but this was not the only way, you know, of having dresses, you know. They called, you know, in the Shama'il that the Prophet ﷺ has qamis and has sarawil and this and that. You have a lot Tubban and many other, you know, names, you know, qatifa, khamisa, yani all of those, these clothes, you know, they were sewed, you know, they were not in this pattern, you know. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
So based on that assumption, can one wear normal Western clothes or any other clothes to do dua?
He missed the compulsory.
Yeah.
And he fulfilled his obligatory if he has intention, but he missed the compulsory. I don't know if, do you have an item to speak about the importance of each one?
No.
Let me clarify this, you know, for you. What do you mean by obligatory? What do you mean by compulsory? What do you mean by tradition? Okay, when you say obligation, no, it's leave them. That's me. If I did not do it, I miss doing it for intentionally or non-intentionally, the complete Hajj is invalid. Okay? When you say obligatory.
We have a slide for that. Just for the fun, we have a slide.
Okay. So this is what's the meaning of obligatory. When I said obligatory, what does it mean? That's mean when I miss doing it, okay, intentionally or non-intentionally, knowing or don't know, okay, by this is invalid. Compulsory here, you have, if you done it by intention or no intention, you have the two possibilities here, okay? If you have done it intentionally, I want to go with the Western clothes, I'm going to be sinful and I should slaughter. Okay? For each action, I should slaughter. When you change your clothes, this is another action. Okay? If you change 10 times, let's say, you should slaughter 10 different sheep. Okay? So here, if you have done it intentionally, you are sinful. Here you have sin, and you should slaughter. Okay? Whereas if it's done non-intentionally, you did not know, or by mistake, or whatever, or nothing available, or you are sick and you need to have some heavy clothes or whatever, then you should slaughter, but there's no sin. Okay, you see the difference? A rich man may tell you, I'm not going to do any of these compulsories and I'm going to slaughter, you know, whatever, 50 sheep, whatever. Okay, we'll tell him, yet you are still sinful. Okay, because you have done it intentionally. Okay, so this should be recognized, you know, the difference between the intention that you have. Have you done it knowing that this should it be done or not? Okay. When as for tradition, you know, if you have done it, you are going to be rewarded. You know, when you miss it, you are going have some karahat tanzih, nothing else. You know, here there's nothing to be done, no slaughtering, nothing here to be done. So we should be familiar with these three definitions, you know, and the difference between them. And we should have full recognition, you know, about what we are speaking about. Move to next one. Pillars. Here he highlighted the obligation, let's say. But here he includes the pillars. Why? Because Ihram, some may call him as a condition, not as a pillar. The other they called him as a pillar. I'm not going to go to the controversy. I'm going to make it simply the obligation according to Hanafi. And please add it, you know, I would like to add it, you know, Ihram. And we mean by Ihram, your intention with Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik and Wuquf Arafah and tawaf. Okay, because when I go quickly and look at this handout, I only find 2, so it's not important. After I go to Arafah, after I make tawaf, I may say labbaik Allahumma labbaik and make ihram. This doesn't fit. Okay, yeah, you should have the ihram. We should start with this. And the third, I don't want to make it too complicated, you know. And the fourth obligation, to have it in order. Okay, namely, the ihram should be before Arafat, and the tawaf should be after Arafat. You see? And just put it in mind in this simple way, you know. You should have 3 obligations. I'm not going to call them pillars. I'm going to call them obligation, not to go to the controversy about some of them. They are Ihram, Wuquf Arafat, and Tawaf. And the fourth one I'll put to have them in this order. Okay? And namely, you should have the Ihram before and Tawaf after. Why? Why I'm saying so? Because this is again important point. Because the only fixed one of them is Arafat. Here you have limited time. When you miss it, you missed your Hajj. Okay? So this is the only fixed one, you know. Whereas Ihram is open and Tawaf is open. You see? So that's why this is the cornerstone of it. This is the central one. This is the fixed one. Okay. You make sure you have before it Ihram. Let's say I am now in Arafat. Okay, even if I'm in Arafat, I'm going to make Ihram now, and the coming moment is going to be considered my Arafat, not this moment. Okay? Now I'm in Arafat without Ihram state. Right away I make intention, and the coming moment is going to be considered for me Arafat. And then I should find a time, you know, to go for Tawaf. You see this? Yani, the only fixed point you have is Arafat. The other 2, they are flexible. But the first one should be before, and the second one should be after.
Could somebody make more than one Hajj in 1 year?
No. No, it's impossible. In Hanafi, it's impossible. Yes, in Hanafi, it's impossible. In other mazhab, you have some exception, maybe. But in Hanafi, it's impossible. Yes. Don't make it difficult on us. Okay. So here, for Arafat, just to make it more clear, this day number 9 of the last lunar month, you know, in Arabic calendar, which is Dhul Hijjah, we call it, you know, day number 9, and the time start at Zuhr time. You have from Zuhr till the Fajr of the next day, of the coming day. This is the valid time, you know, to be considered. You should be present, you know, in Arafat at least one moment in that particular time, regardless if you know this Arafat or not. Someone did not know that he now is in Arafat. But if he's present, even if he passed out, you know, or he crazy at that time or whatever, you know, but he was physically present, you know, one moment at least, you know, in this particular time, this is fulfill or fit his criterion, you know, to have the Wuquf Arafat, this pillar or this obligatory. About the Tawaf al-Ziyara or Tawaf al-Ifada or whatever you do, again, Tawaf al-Rukn. Here he gave us the time. The time, you see, the time here for Arafat, you may consider it as a must, as obligatory, as something when you miss, you really missed. Whereas the time for Tawaf, when he said from day number 10 till day number 12, this is compulsory. Okay, that's why I said no time. Okay, it's a compulsory to perform your Tawaf within these 3 days, day number 10, 11, and 12. Okay, but if you miss and you did it later on, still valid, but you need to slaughter. You see? That's why I said Tawaf is not doesn't have time. You have the rest of your life, you know, but you have some regulation, you know, you shouldn't, because anyone who is married, you know, cannot have relation with his wife till he perform his tawaf. Yani it's problematic, yani you cannot delay it, you know, a lot, you know. But here, by theory, if someone delayed it years, okay, by theory, he may perform tawaf even after 3-4 years, you know, and he only slaughtered, you know, and this goes by the same business if this was done intentionally or non-intentionally. But anyway, he should slaughter. Yani in another word, what I'm trying to say, that tawaf doesn't have time limit from obligation-wise, but it has time limit from compulsory-wise.
Any other questions on Hajj? Because we're going to move on to oaths now. Do you want to comment?
Okay, just quickly.
Yeah.
Umrah is, again, if we want to speak about the obligation of Umrah, we have only two. We have only two for Umrah. You take away Wuquf Arafat, you don't go to Arafat. You only have two obligations for Umrah. You have the Ihram and Tawaf. Okay? It's very simple, you know. For Umrah, only you have Ihram and Tawaf. Sa'i is compulsory. The Sa'i which was mentioned here is compulsory. Okay? Same as in Hajj. In Hajj, Sa'i is compulsory, and Umrah, again, it's Halaq. Again, for Hajj and for Umrah, it is compulsory. Haircut.
Chef, for the haircut, how much do you have to take off your hair? Cutting, if you're cutting.
The length should be like this, you know.
Okay.
Okay, and should be taken from 1/4 of the whole head. The head is considered above the ears. If you have hair here, even if you take it all, shaved it all completely, it's not considered as haircut. Okay, you should be above the ears. Same for wudu. When you are obliged to wipe your head during wudu, the area should be above the ears.
Sheikh, if I'm Umrah with my brother, and we've just finished our Umrah,
Yes.
can I cut his hair?
Yes.
Since I'm still in the
Yes,
house?
for sure. You may cut your hair, you may cut his hair. You don't need for anyone else. So, we finish by this, inshallah?
Yes, we're going to go on to...
Okay, any question?
Any questions?
The cutting of the hair,
Yes.
that applies to women as well, as in if it's below that.
Should be from the above, yani, the woman, as in assumption, usually they have long hair, but the one you cut it behind the shoulder, should be originated, you know, from above the ear. Okay.
If you miss a compulsory act intentionally or non-intentionally and you slaughter, do you have to then make up the act as well?
No. The make-up is only for the obligatory, not for the compulsory, no.
Any other questions? We're only going to cover oaths now. We've done pledges before, so just the oaths.
Okay.
So we didn't mention Medina to Munawwara in the Hajj, although that's, I guess, a spiritual pillar. Maybe another time, inshallah.
No, inshallah. For us, you know, the first comment, you know, which I have, you know, which paid my attention here, you have the picture, you know, someone putting his hand on the Holy Mus'haf, you know, or the Book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This has nothing to do with us, okay? This became not the prophetic tradition, this is our tradition, okay? We speak about it a lot, okay? But in our Islam, you don't have anything which match or goes with it, you know. The hand had nothing to do, the Holy Book of Allah has nothing to do with us, okay? What is us? Us, when you speak, the eligible speaking. What do I mean by the eligible speaking? You should have your tongue move. You should have the minimum required voice. Even if you are sitting alone in very large hall, no one listening to you, and you say, Ahlifu billahi. You say, Ahlif uqsimu billah, I'm going to do this and that. Okay? Here, this is an oath. Okay? In the other scenario, if you put your hand on the mushaf and you said, I'm going to do this and that in front of 1,000 persons, this is not an oath. Why? Because you did not use the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see this point? Yani here, the hand, the book, the being heard by some people, whatever, all of those matters, you know, has nothing to do with oath. Oath is something should be as legal speech. I don't know if you have learned about prayer, you know. In prayer, when you want to recite Quran, if I'm moving just my tongue, you know, without any voice, this is not no recitation of Quran, and this doesn't fit, you know, for my obligation. Recitation of Quran and an obligation during prayer, you know. When I do this doesn't. For us, it's the same, you know. If you move your tongue, you know, without any voice, the minimal required for voice, you know, this is not considered as voice. So here the components, you should have two components of your tongue moving and your voice, the slightest one that, يعني, perhaps by a fine instrument maybe heard, you know, or whatever, you know, but at least you should have the voice. Even though this was not heard by anyone, you know, this is going to be considered an oath when you use the holy name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or some of his attributes as is going to be illustrated. This is I would like, and even if you want me to stop at it, you know, for 1 hour or 2 hours, I'm going to do it, because I'm sorry, even the picture here is misleading, you know, because perhaps many of us, they don't know the exact meaning of the oath, you know, Islamically.
Sheikh, if you say, I swear by the Quran, or I swear by the word of Allah, if you use these words, not just putting your hand and say, oh, I didn't do it, but I swear by the book of Allah, I swear by the word of Allah, does it still have the same?
When you say the word of Allah, this is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is considered as an oath. When you swear by Al-Quran, if you have the intention of the attribute of Allah, again, this is you have some type may need an intention. The other, they are going to take place without intention. Okay? When you say by Allah, this is no need of intention, because you mentioned the holy name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some other names or other words, you know, it has some differentiation when you have different intention, you know, about it. So when you say by the word of Allah, wording, this is as attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's going to be considered as an oath. When you say Al-Quran, we have the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sometimes we use it, especially in our communities, you know, about this holy book that we put on the shelf. This holy book that we put on the shelf, highly respected, you know, but this has nothing to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We respected it because it contains the name of Allah, but we know these are paper and ink and other materials, you know, which was used here, which all of them, they have been created, you know. When you speak about the attribute of Allah, never created. This has been eternally lost with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see the difference? And here you should have this recognition, you know, between the oath should be by Allah or something related to the descriptions of Allah.